and we're here to talk about all of the stuff that's been happening in the Euros. Good to see you, Carlos, as always.
Nice to see you too. Very nice to be here.
Yeah, it's a
Nice sunny
pleasure.
day behind you, I can see.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day here. It's sunny. There's a few clouds in the sky, but look, we got to make the most of the sun here in the UK. For anybody watching, Carlos is in Spain, so he's used to the nice weather on a regular basis. So, so it's all good stuff. But we're here to talk about European football. It's been well eventful, hasn't it? Really. So I think we should get into it. So let's start from the top, right, all the way back to Friday when it all opened up. We had Turkey versus Italy. What did you make of the game?
I was very impressed with Italy. They were, together with France, Italy are my pre-tournament favourites. And from what I saw, they seem to confirm my positive thoughts about them. They looked like a very attack-minded team. You know, Mancini has been criticised in the past for being a defensive manager, for being too cautious. And yet this team throws caution to the wind. It attacks with a large number of players. It tries to play in the opponent's half, win the ball back early. They try to run into space. Their movement is flowing and very difficult to stop because they keep getting behind the opposing defense, even though Turkey were sitting back and waiting for them. That's the most difficult thing to do, to break down and get behind a defense that is actually sitting back. And Italy did it several times over. Now, people said Turkey were poor. They were poor.
They were poor. They were poor.
But also you must give Italy credit for that. I think Italy made them look worse. You will see Turkey against other opponents and they won't look half as bad.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I reserve judgment because I think that it's too early in the game. But look, they were, like you said, they were one of your favourites. I've always, for anyone watching, I always banked on France. They're my team. Usually, what happens, well, for me anyway, I've seen most teams who win the World Cup who keep the team the same. They haven't lost loads of players. They still got a lot of young, fresh players. Same coach. Usually do well in the Euros. So happened with Spain, happened with France before, and the list goes on. So that's my personal thoughts. But going back to this game anyway. So look, I thought Italy were great, and fair play to them for doing well. But Turkey were poor, and we talked about it offline about the fact that Turkey with that. With that, the one where the goalkeeper kicked it out, they went straight to an Italian player. Then he passed it to one next guy. He passed it to the next guy after that, who tapped it in. It's not great football. And you would have thought Turkey would be much better. Huge nation, got loads of people playing abroad. What do you think went wrong with them?
Well, they've never really been a footballing power, and they do have a better side this time round. They have managed to get good results in the last few months. I think they beat Holland, if I'm not mistaken. And yes, the mistake by the goalkeeper, he gave the ball straight to Italy. But from that point on, the way Italy finished it was superb. I can't imagine many teams getting, because Italy didn't get the ball back on the edge of the box. It was about 30 to 35 yards out. And yet with 3 passes, they found Insigne in space to score the 3rd goal. And by that time, it was 2-0. There wasn't long to go. Turkey were beaten. And also they'd been given the runaround by Italy all match long. So their heads were dropping probably. But in the first half, Turkey were organised in defence and made it difficult for Italy. And yet Italy did break them down a few times. I think they have a very good forward line. No real stars, but everyone is of a very high standard. The midfield is excellent. Locatelli, probably the one who's the least known of them all, I thought was very calm all the way through, always played the right ball. He was in control of the situation. Now, he's the one who will probably lose his place when Verratti recovers. Don't forget, they've got Verratti to come back.
Yeah.
And when you see the substitutions, you realize what a great squad it is, because the quality does not drop. They can put out maybe 18 or 20 players of a very, very similar quality. So injuries will not be a problem. Suspensions will not be a problem for Italy.
Yeah. I mean, so are they your tip to win it?
I think my two favorites are France and Italy.
Okay.
The two of them. But I think they will probably meet before the final because of the draw.
Right. Okay.
I don't know if they're due to meet in the quarters or the semis. I haven't looked at it that closely. I do know if they both win their groups, they will be in the same half of the draw. So it will not be an Italy-France final.
Right.
But I do suspect that if they meet, I think Italy will come out on top.
Wow. That's big talk. We're going to hold you to that, Carlos. So
well, the thing about France is they have the players, but they haven't shone. They didn't even shine at the World Cup. They just grind out results. They grind out results, and fair play to them. They know how to do that.
Is that all that counts, though?
And yes, it is. It is, obviously. They're good at that. But when they play very mediocre football, as they often do, they will get caught out. They will get caught out at some point, and a good team like Italy could be the ones to do it. Also, all is not well in the French camp. There are arguments between Mbappe and Benzema. Sorry, Giroud.
Over.
And there's an argument about Giroud saying Mbappe doesn't pass the ball to him, and Mbappe has been making noises about him not being happy. We'll see what happens.
Wow, well, that's it. That's going to be very, very interesting how that plays out on the pitch. I mean, Giroud, obviously the elder statesman there, Mbappe, one of the stars of the moment. So yeah, I'd be interested to see how that all plays out in time. But look, we should move on. So Wales, Switzerland, 1-1. What were your thoughts about that game? Because I've got some very strong thoughts about it. I know you said you didn't watch it heavily, but yeah, tell us what you think.
Well, I was sitting in front of the TV, but to be honest, the quality was so poor that it was putting me off. I thought Switzerland were okay. Switzerland were okay on the ball. They dominated. There were moments in the game when I wondered whether they should have brought a second ball out so that Wales could touch it.
It was so bad. The Wales guys looked really tired. I wonder why. I mean, I appreciate that, it might be hot and sunny, but come on. I mean, you've been there, you've had a training camp. I know that the season only just finished, but same for Switzerland. So I don't understand why they were struggling with the heat or whatever it was that was distracting them from doing a good job.
I think they were struggling with the quality they don't have.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. It's a poor side. Wales are a poor side. There's no two ways about it. And all you can say is that they can attempt to be organized and to try to make it difficult. And their comeback towards the end, when Switzerland were 1-0 up and Wales got more into it with about 15, 20 minutes to go, I think had a lot more to do with Switzerland sitting back and being content and thinking that they had won it. You see, Wales posed no threat at all. So the Swiss, I think, miscalculated what was going on and thought, all we have to do now is just play out time, and we've got 3 points. But I was telling my son, I said, when you do that, doesn't matter how bad the opposition is, if they get a chance and they put it away, then you have to go upfield and score another goal. And that doesn't always happen. I think it was more Switzerland throwing it away than Wales coming back.
Yeah. So talk to me about this guy. Do you know anything about him? The scorer for Wales. I've never even heard of the guy. Who does he play for?
Well, to be honest, after I saw the game, I wish I still didn't know anything about the guy. He
Go
plays for
for it.
Cardiff. I know he plays for Cardiff. He's a big target man. Scored 20 goals last season in the Championship, of course.
Yeah.
But he's no Marco van Basten. That's all I can say.
Yeah. I mean, I was surprised, like you said, about what Switzerland were like. Just letting it drop and allowing Wales, because it doesn't matter who you're playing, whether you're playing North Macedonia or you're playing Italy or whoever, a superpower, you've got to stay focused for the 90 minutes. It's just common sense, isn't it? Even at club level, like lower level, even semi-pro. It was bizarre for me. I thought Switzerland would go ahead and win it, but they didn't. So it's one of those things. But look, Wales, fair play to them. They made the most of an opportunity which presented itself to them. But really, even after they scored, they looked exhausted. But like I said, it was probably the quality that they struggled with.
Yeah,
so
I thought Switzerland were good up to the penalty area. They couldn't finish. And Bolo, I thought, had a good game.
Okay.
Up front, he made a few good runs. And also, you've got to also give a lot of credit to the Welsh keeper, who pulled off 3 or 4 stunning saves.
Yeah, he did amazing. Yeah, what was his name? Danny Ward, I think his name is.
And he's Leicester's backup keeper. He's second choice.
Yeah, well, he did incredible. He did incredible to save them from absolute capitulation. So fair play to
and
them.
Listen, I don't want anyone to think I don't like Wales. I think they've got a fantastic rugby side. Oh yeah, and I like rugby, as you know. I like it, and Wales are fantastic. But football, it's the wrong shaped ball, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. For what we saw anyway, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. But look, we need to get into the important stuff now. So Denmark, Finland. So we know that the score was 1-0 to Finland. But let's talk about the player health in the situation. We know about what happened. We saw Christian Eriksen, a veteran of the sport, playing, and I assume you saw obviously what happened, but he kind of stumbled for his going. I think he was going to get the penalty, the corner, wasn't he? Going to get the ball, and then
he was going for throwing.
Oh, throwing. That was it, the throwing.
Yeah.
And then he kind of stumbled forward, and then he just fell forward. And the referee, fair play to him, did brilliantly. He got there. He saw what was going on, called on the medic straight away. And then obviously he was awake and conscious, but then he lost consciousness, and it didn't look great at that point. But they worked on him. They did the CPR. They gave him the shock, and eventually, after several minutes, was it about 20 minutes, more than that, half hour?
No. I think the whole and from the time that he collapsed until the time that he was taken off, I think between 10 and 15 minutes elapsed.
Okay, so it was a while, and then he obviously regained consciousness and was taken to hospital and was stable, which thank goodness for that. So first of all, we know Christian Eriksen's been playing a long time, and he's played at Tottenham. Like I said, I think he's at Juventus. But the thing about it is that we've had obviously COVID. Seasons have been kind of squashed together, very little time in between, and then obviously we've got this tournament here. So what do you think could have been done, if anything, to make the situation for players' health any different? Should there be more checks? What's your thoughts on the matter?
Well, I'm not a doctor, and I can't really give a qualified reply to that. But what I do know is that all the possible checks that are needed are done. And what happened, we mustn't confuse the issue. And I don't think that what happened yesterday had anything to do with fixture congestion. This was just an underlying issue that Eriksen had. And I'm talking now from what I've heard cardiologists say in the past 24 hours, well, less than 24 hours. And these things happen. And you just don't know when or where they're going to happen. All you can do is be prepared for these situations. And my God, were they prepared at the Hogan Stadium in Copenhagen? They were absolutely brilliant, the doctors. But I also must say that Simon Kjær, the captain of Denmark, he gave ERIKSEN some vital extra seconds by reacting and giving him the initial treatment until the doctors got across the pitch. He kept ERIKSEN breathing initially. And that was absolutely brilliant, absolutely fantastic. But how the doctors handled the situation, I think, was absolutely top class.
Yeah, no, I think it was absolutely brilliant, and all respect to their true heroes, what they do. And I've heard all kinds of stories of situations like this before, where they'll work on people for a long time and bring them back. I was speaking to one friend, and he was telling me that he's in an airport, someone collapsed, and these medics worked on the guy for 50 minutes, nearly an hour, and they brought him back. That's unbelievable. So they're true heroes. They did a great job. He's stable and he's conscious, and we've seen pictures of him. He's okay. So hopefully he does well. So, and hopefully, I don't know if really you can resume your football career after that, but hopefully you can. But obviously the situation was a shock. So the fixture congestion, obviously we've just talked about, wasn't an issue. But I think overall it did affect obviously Denmark's performance. I'm fair play to them for coming back as well. I mean, they could have just cancelled the match, but everyone was keen to carry on the match later on in the day, and continue, which was good of them. I mean, they'd be shocked by that, especially if your teammate you've known for a long time. He's their top scorer, isn't he? He's Denmark's top scorer of all time. So obviously, unfortunately, they lost. But look, it's hopefully they can move forward. But overall, of the teams themselves, I mean, Denmark's a top quality side, aren't they? I know that you talked about it, and Finland as well. But Denmark are a very good side, right?
Well, I really fancied Denmark to go far before the tournament started. But now, once something like this happens, you realize football doesn't matter. It's secondary. And what I would like to say is the dignity with which the whole Denmark squad behaved during the crisis, during the worst moments when they didn't know what was going to happen, how they shielded their teammate and friend from the cameras, and how they accompanied him to the ambulance. And it turns out that UEFA gave Denmark two options. One was to restart the game that same evening, which is what happened. And the second one was to play the second half today. Now it appears, from what I've read, that ERIKSEN actually spoke to his teammates through a video conference.
Really?
He told them he was okay, and he said, "Go out there and play." That's what's been reported. That is what has been reported.
That makes sense.
So the teammates, having known that ERIKSEN was okay, decided to go out and play. But as their coach, Holmlund, I think it is, as he said in the press conference, he said they went out, they played, but they weren't on the pitch. They were devastated, and it was impossible for them to play their proper game. And all credit to them. He said he was so proud of them for how they handled the situation, for going out there and doing their best when obviously you're not even going to be 10% of what you really are.
No.
I mean, the match restarted an hour and 15 minutes after ERIKSEN collapsed.
Crazy.
Having gone from that anguish that they felt to having to play as if nothing had gone on, that's impossible. That is impossible. Yeah. And it should not have happened. It should not have been allowed. I think UEFA should have said, the match is called off. Maybe they could have found a day when they could have fitted the match in. Or I don't know, declare it a draw.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I thought maybe a draw would have been the kind of gentlemanly thing to do.
And that was the score at the time when it was interrupted, so it would have been fair, I guess. Yeah.
No, it's difficult. It's difficult. But yeah, even though Denmark lost, it's going to be difficult, like I said, for them to actually have a solid campaign now. So, I mean, you never know, but it's going to be very, very, very difficult now.
Their minds aren't going to be on the tournament. No, I think that, and they've got Russia to play in Belgium. They could beat Russia. They probably won't beat Belgium. They would need to be at the top of their game to beat Belgium, and that will probably not happen. So they will more than likely go out. But you know something? It doesn't matter.
No.
At the end of the day, right now probably all they want to do is go home.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right, and we understand why. It's totally understandable under the circumstances, and we wish Christian Eriksen the best in his recovery, and hopefully he can resume his career. I mean, obviously there's going to be a lot of checks, and
I doubt it. It seems very unlikely that he will ever play football again.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm quoting cardiologists that I've heard speak in the last few hours, and one of them was saying if he ever plays football again, it'll be in the garden with his kids, but it won't be professionally. And you know something? Again, it doesn't matter. He's still with us, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, and thinking about it, you're right, because in many ways, whilst it'd be nice to resume his career, it'd probably be more almost like someone who's had an injury, who's cut their career short. There's opportunities for him to go into coaching and help out, but the kind of the mileage that you do as a footballer, I mean, many people compare it to a marathon runner. The amount of running you do in one match, you know, and the amount of training, and it's so hard on the heart and the body, and that's why they're obviously super slim if they're playing at the highest level. So it's very difficult to do that if your heart and you've had issues that, you know, could affect your performance. So look, we wish him the best anyway, and under his circumstances, and we'll see what happens there. But
football is not good for the health. Football is not a good sport for the health. You know, running at a constant pace is okay, well, better, but top level professional sport is not good for the health. But football, with these constant sprints that you do for 90 minutes, stopping and starting, and having to go from 0 to 100 in a split second. You know, when I did my professional coaching badge a couple of years ago, the doctor that we had doing the medical course, because you do various subjects, including medicine, the doctor said that professional sport is bad for the health.
Yeah.
Because you take your body to the limit, don't you?
Yeah, of course. Food, nutrition, training. Yeah, it's like I said, it's strange, and that's why people get injured a lot throughout their career. And it's if you're just doing normal run of the mill stuff, it's you know, obviously it won't have that effect. But it's one of those things. But yeah, like you said, look, we hope him all the best, and we hope he has a long kind of coaching career, whatever he wants to do. So, but let's talk about one of the teams you just talked about who are in the group, Belgium. Oh my God, they were scintillating, weren't they? Lukaku at his finest. Well, he's had a great season anyway. Just won the title of Inter, didn't he? And Martinez there, he's been there a while. But Russia weren't great. But what's your thoughts on Belgium?
Well, you mentioned Lukaku, and he was my pre-tournament favourite to be top scorer.
Yeah.
I thought either Lukaku or Kane will finish as top scorers, and I think, well, Lukaku started very well, hasn't he?
He's incredibly.
The thing about Belgium is that over the last few years, they have been a very attractive side. They've got the quality. They've got a great generation of players, and they've won nothing. They've won absolutely nothing. They've gone further than they usually do in the big tournaments. But at the end of the day, they haven't really threatened. Yesterday, they were boring. They were boring, but they were efficient. And that might be what actually takes them over the line. Who knows?
Yeah, that might do it.
Now they put in a very professional performance. They got the goals. They got great finishers, as we know. And once they got 2 goals ahead, even at 1 goal up, they were just controlling the game. They weren't pushing forward frantically for another goal. They just tried to keep possession. They wanted time to pass, limit Russia to practically nothing. It was a very, very intelligent and professional performance. And maybe that is what they needed in order to go further in these big tournaments.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great. And Martinez has been there for a while now. Obviously, Thierry Henry's helping out in the background. They seem to be a together squad. But like he said, I mean, we haven't even talked about them going and getting over the line. But they made it. You never know. They could be a finalist by a long stretch. So we'll see. It's very early in the game.
De Bruyne wasn't even playing yesterday. Hazard isn't really 100% fit. He came on in the second half. But if Hazard gradually gets back to full fitness and match fitness in the second round, and if De Bruyne comes back, he might be back for the next game. Maybe he might miss that. I mean, I would keep him out and make sure that he gets better and just bring him in for the knockout stages. You know, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, no, it's good. It is good. So let's see what happens. But look, we've talked about all the games, and there's quite a few games coming up, which is nice. We won't talk about all of them. Austria, North Macedonia, Netherlands against Ukraine. But the one we really want to talk about is England versus Croatia. So that's obviously today. So first of all, what's England's chances of winning this thing? All this talk about it's coming home.
Well, we've heard that before, haven't we? The thing is, it's always coming home. It never gets there.
It's stuck on a plane somewhere.
The best news for England is that 6 of the 7 scheduled matches in order to get to the final would be played at Wembley if they win their group. So if England, the only match they would have to play away from England would be the quarterfinal that would be played in Rome. Okay. If they manage to get over that hurdle, then you never know. I don't think they are better than the top teams in this tournament. I think England are a step below them. I don't think they are. Well, they haven't been as good coming forward as most people think this team can be. Okay, it's only friendlies we're talking about, but they've won 1-0 against, was it Romania and Austria, was it? I can't remember who they beat. Yeah. Defensively, we spoke about this the other day. I think there's a weakness there. And to be honest, I just don't think that the team is anywhere near as good as most people are saying. We shall see. That does not totally discount them, of course. No. In particular, because of what I said, that they would be lucky enough to play practically every match at home. So that gives England a huge advantage. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't think they're as good as Italy. I don't think they're as good as France. I don't think they're as good as Portugal.
No, definitely not. So,
but sometimes in these tournaments, the best team doesn't win. And someone comes through and manages to take the title. I mean, look at Greece in 2002.
Yeah, that was incredible.
2004. Sorry, 2004. Although Greece, they were very good at what they did.
Yeah, and you've got to be efficient and see how it goes. But look, they got to the semis in the World Cup, and now we're here. And this is the kind of predicted look at things. I mean, what do you make of this team? Pickford, obviously Everton, not had a great season at all. Mings, inconsistent. Shaw's been okay. Stones, we've talked about him time and time again, how bad he is. Walker's been consistent. Declan Rice has a good year. Calvin Phillips under Bielsa's, done better than you would expect a guy of his level to do, but he's done really well. Mason Mount, obviously done well. Foden, one of the best players in the league. Rashford, inconsistent. Kane hasn't done great, really, in the big game. So that's the kind of predicted lineup. I mean, realistically, Is this the team? I mean, obviously it's Croatia, so Croatia's still a decent side. What do you make of this team? Do you think they're going to do well today? What's your thoughts?
Well, there's a weakness in central defence, obviously, with Mings and Stones.
Yeah.
They're not world-class players
No.
by any stretch of the imagination. And another issue I see here is that the good England players are not really in top form. Mount didn't really finish the season that well. Okay, Chelsea won the Champions League, but he did not really shine.
No.
Rashford, as you said, he's not on form. Hasn't been for most of the season, so it would be a surprise for him suddenly to burst into action. Kane, I do trust. I think he is world class, and he's a great finisher, and a lot will depend on him. But we'll see. England should beat Croatia at home. And also, Croatia are not the team of 2018. They've had some of their top and older players retire, such as Mandzukic. So we'll see. The Croatians are always competitive, and they do have quality. They've got Kovacic, they've got Modric, Perisic. They've got a lot of very, very good players. So we'll see. It's not going to be there will be no pushovers. And Luka Modric actually said in a press conference that he thought England were being very arrogant. He said not the players, not the supporters. Right. He talked about the press, because he said the press are dismissing Croatia and they're talking about this as if it's going to be an easy win. And he complained about the arrogance of the media regarding this game.
Well, they motivated them in the semi-final, didn't it? Was it semis?
In the semi,
yeah, semi of the World Cup, yeah. So, and they seem to be motivated again. The only thing that there may be a difference here in this lineup, there's been rumblings this morning about it, is that Mount might not be playing and it'd be Sterling. What's your thoughts about that?
Well, that just makes things worse, doesn't it?
Well, that's the talk that Sterling's going to start. You know that, obviously, think about it. Southgate does like Sterling. He does. Simple as that. He likes playing him.
Yeah, it's a manager's prerogative to take whichever player he wants, and then once he takes his squad, he chooses whoever he wants. I don't think Sterling deserves a place. I thought it was a mistake for Guardiola to play him in the Champions League final. Yep. And what came after that, I think, proved it. He was very poor. And I can't see. I mean, you never know. He might play. He might score. He might get the winning goal. These things happen sometimes, don't they? But all I can say is that it is unlikely. It can happen, but you wouldn't bet your house on it, would you?
No. I think Sterling playing, like I said, is a preference to the manager, but I think Sterling will struggle to make impact. I personally think, but I'll be interested to see if he proves us wrong. So it's all good. But look, thank you so much. I think we've talked through quite a lot of issues there with the Euros, what's happened, what's happening. And look, if you could leave some comments, thank you for everyone who's watched, leave some thoughts and views about the upcoming games. Today, like we talked about England, Croatia. We talked about there's Netherlands, Ukraine, Austria, North Macedonia. Leave your predictions. Let us know your thoughts on the matches coming up. So we'll be coming back, going through a few games. Might do some live streaming as well as some of the games, the interesting games, when we've actually got out of the group stages and we see where we're at. So that'll be good. So thanks again, Carlos. Thanks for joining me.
Pleasure.
Cheers. And it's Mac here. And thank you for joining Sports Fans Show.